Solar Warlock is one of the most overused classes, and for good reason. Well of Radiance is fantastic for both solo and team play. Wait. I know what you're thinking. Here comes the most broken Starfire build that everyone's seen. Wrong. Since we know this will be getting a nerf, I wanted to cover a not so prevalent solar build, and that is the Sunbracers build. This build excels at nearly every category of play. It offers high DPS to solo and multiple targets, and it offers high survivability, not to mention it's easy to use. Remember, if you like this video, slap that like button and subscribe to see more broken builds like this one. Let's go. Usually I start with the subclassing abilities. For this build, we're going to be touching on the exotic first, since it's critical to know how it works and what it does. We're going to be using the Sunbracers for this build. With the Sunbracers equipped, not only will solar grenades last longer, when you get a powered melee kill, you'll be granted unlimited solar grenades for a short time. You can roughly throw 5 grenades during this window. Since we're going to be able to throw so many grenades, we'll be buffing our grenades damage and giving ourselves options to generate more ability energy. Also, it's important to know that only 1 damage over time can be counted, meaning if you throw 5 grenades at the same enemy, only 1 of the solar grenades will be dealing damage over time. Looking at the super, we're going to be choosing Well of Radiance. It's impeccable for PvE content, it offers the option to do more DPS, it's just a great overall super. The only time you really want to use Daybreak is if you hate your team.
But we're teammates.
For our first ability, I'm going to be choosing to take Healing Rift. I find it to be easy to use and more practical in most scenarios. You can choose to take Phoenix Dive since it does offer more mobility and it has a shorter cooldown. The only other option you could choose is Empowering Rift. This option doesn't give you on-demand healing, so it's not going to be my choice for most activities. For our jump, I'm going to choose to take Burst Glide. I find it to be the best one. Use whichever one you like. For our melee, I'm going to choose Incinerator Snap. Not only does this have a shorter cooldown, I find it to be more consistent with kills. If you look at the enemy's feet while you use this ability, 9 times out of 10, you're going to cause an ignition, which guarantees a kill on most enemies. For our grenade, we're going to be choosing to take Solar Grenade since this does pair with our exotic. For our first aspect, I'm going to be choosing to take Icarus Dash. I choose this because I like this better than Heat Rises, though I do see the potential for Heat Rises being a better aspect overall. I'm not a huge fan of floating in the air and doing things like that. I like to be able to dash around with Icarus Dash. If you like Heat Rises, go with that because it does give melee energy when you get kills in the air. For our second aspect, I'm going to be choosing to take Touch of Flame. This adds a lot more damage to our solar grenade. Not only does this increase the duration of our grenade, it also emits blobs of lava. I don't know if Destiny ever uses lava. Anyway, it also emits lava that spews out from the middle of the solar grenade, damaging anything around it. This is at random, though because of gravity, you can put it above enemies and it'll fall directly on them. Moving on to our fragments. For the first fragment, I'm going to be choosing to take Ember of Resolve. This makes it so that our solar grenade final blows will cure you, giving you a boost of health. Since this build revolves around throwing a ton of grenades, this offers us the capability to heal ourselves on many occasions. For our second fragment, I'm going to be choosing to take Ember of Mercy. This makes it so that whenever we pick up a fire sprite, we're going to be granted Restoration, as well as when we revive one of our teammates, we'll also be given Restoration, again offering us another way to heal ourselves. For our third fragment, I'm going to be choosing to take Ember of Searing. This makes it so that when we defeat a scorched target, we're granted melee energy and we create a fire sprite. Since this build revolves around using our melee so much, we're going to want to take something that gives us more options to get our melee back quicker. For our fourth and final fragment, I see 2 options here. If you're running a solar weapon as your primary weapon, Ember of Tempering is a great option. This makes it so that solar weapon final blows grant you and your allies recovery for a short duration, as well as solar weapon blows while tempering is active creates a fire sprite. This offers us another way to create a fire sprite and gives us more recovery, though it's reliant on solar weapon. So if you're not running solar weapons, I'd use the other option, and that option is going to be Ember of Ashes, which makes it so that you apply more scorch stacks to targets. This will help out with both your powered melee and your grenades. Since both apply stacks of Scorch, this is going to apply even more Scorch, leading to more ignitions. Now that we have the subclass out of the way, let's talk about ways to take this build to the next level. First up, let's talk about mods. For our helmet mod, we're going to be choosing to take Ashes to Assets. This is going to make it so that grenade kills grant super energy. Since this build does revolve around throwing a ton of grenades, it's important to get our super back as much as we possibly can, so this is going to offer us a way to get our super back even quicker. Next up, I'm going to be choosing to take an ammo finder. Since I do like to run double special, I sometimes like to take a special ammo finder for this build. If you are running a primary weapon, you could run a second Ashes to Assets instead, though it is pretty diminished on how much energy you get back from that second version. For our third and final mod, I'm going to be choosing to take a Weapon Siphon mod. This means rapid gun kills matching this Weapon Siphon mod are going to create orbs. Moving on to our arms. The first mod I'm going to be choosing is going to be Melee Kickstart. This means that every time you use your power melee, you're going to regain energy based off your armor charge. On most occasions, you should have 3 armor charge, meaning you'll get get roughly 30% energy back. For our second mod, I'm going to be choosing to take firepower. Again, we're going to be chucking a ton of grenades, so this is going to make it so that our grenade final blows will create orbs. And last up, I'm going to be choosing to take momentum transfer. This grants melee energy when you cause damage with a grenade. It gives you about 20% energy on Warlock every 7 seconds. This paired with melee kickstart means that every time you use your power melee and throw a grenade, you should be getting about 50% of your powered melee back immediately. And since this build revolves around getting a powered melee kill to initiate Sunbracers, this is important to get your powered melee back as quick as possible. Our chest mods aren't super important, though I will choose to take 3 resistance mods for most activities that are on the harder content. Otherwise, I might take some reserves mods or charged up. Totally up to you. Pick mods based on the activity you're doing. Moving on to our leg mods. Since we have multiple ways to create orbs, we're going to use those orbs to our advantage. The first mod that I'm going to be using is called Invigoration. This means that orbs reduce our melee cooldown for about 10% if we're running one mod. We're also going to pair this with Absolution. This means that our orbs are going to reduce the cooldown of all of our abilities by 5% with one of these equipped. So that means when we're picking up one orb, we're getting 15% for our powered melee, as well as 5% for both our rift and our grenade. When we pair this with the mods from our gauntlets, this means we can have up to 65% powered melee energy back by getting 1 kill with our grenade after proccing Sunbracers. For our third and final slot, we're going to take Recuperation, which means orbs give health. Since I do like to run around with this build a lot, I'm looking to pick up fire sprites as well as orbs as much as possible, and this offers a way for a little bit more survivability. Moving on to our bond. The first mod I'm going to be taking is Outreach. This gives melee energy back when using our class ability. We get 20% melee energy back with one of these mods equipped when we're on Warlock. Again, offering us another way to power up and get our melee back as quick as possible. I am also going to be choosing to take Bomber. This means that whenever we use our rift, we're going to be boosting the amount of powered melee we get, as well as offering more grenade energy. Since we have momentum transfer on, whenever we hit and deal damage with our grenade, we're going to be getting more powered melee back. So if you do happen to mess up one of your powered melees, this offers another option to get it back even quicker. For our final mod, I'm going to be choosing to take Reaper. Reaper is an amazing mod and allows us to create an orb on our next weapon kill after using our rift. Let's talk about artifact mods and what mods from the artifact can be helpful for this build in Season 20. First up, in column 2, we have our authorized mods. I like to choose Solar and Grenade, since this makes it so that our mods are going to be reduced price for both solar mods and grenade mods. For column 3, other mods that could be useful are going to be Shatter Orbs, Solar Surge, and Volatile Flow. Shatter Orbs is an amazing mod since it makes it so that whenever you break a combatant shield matching the element that the shield is, you're going to create an orb. Creating orbs is awesome overall because it gives us ability energy back, increases our score, and keeps us healthy. Solar Surge makes it so that whenever we pick up a fire sprite, we're granted armor charge. This is again amazing since we are using a kickstart mod and we're taking advantage of our armor charge. This is going to offer us more ways to get armor charge back. Last up, we have Volatile Flow. This makes it so that our void weapons are granted volatile rounds whenever we pick up an orb. Since we do have so many ways to create orbs, if you'd like to run void weapons with this build, go for it. It synergizes pretty well. The final mod that could be useful, pairing Volatile Flow with Bricks from Beyond. This makes it so that powerful kills with void weapons have a greater chance for heavy ammo. And who doesn't love more heavy ammo? Let's move on to the weapons. For our first slot, I like to take a heavy hitter. This includes the Riptide or Wither Horde. There are plenty of other options that you could choose. Riptide is a great overall champion stunner if you do have Chill Clip. Any other fusion rifle that does have Chill Clip is also great for this slot. I love the capability of doing damage over time to bosses. So not only can we throw our solar grenades, but we can also pull out the Wither Horde and shoot one of those grenades. So we're doing a ton of damage over time whenever we use our powered weapon. Wither Horde is an awesome weapon overall for damage to bosses. For our second slot, I like to also pair this with another special weapon, particularly a solar weapon. I was able to craft the new trace rifle from the Root of Nightmares, the acai bowls.
What did he just say?
Trace rifle. I picked Reconstruction Incandescent with it. This is awesome and pairs well with the Fragment of Tempering and will give us more recovery. Though if you do want to run any other trace rifle, which are doing fantastic right now, go for it. If you aren't running solar weapons, remember to run Ember of Ashes instead of Ember of Tempering for our fragments. Another great option in the second slot is going to be Prometheus Lens. I don't think a lot of people remember it or have used it very recently, but Prometheus Lens can actually melt a group of enemies. Intrinsically, this now has incandescent and creates more ignitions and scorches targets, which is also going to give us more melee energy back because of our fragment. For our final slot, I do like to pair another solar weapon, but it's absolutely not necessary. We do have an option for a machine gun with the Unwavering Duty or Avalanche. Both can come with Subsistence and Incandescent, and Incandescent is amazing for getting our melee energy back as well as creating ignitions on the field. Otherwise, use whatever the best weapon is for the activity that you're doing. With this build, we have the capability for high damage to solo targets, to clear out waves of enemies, and we have great survivability. We look for a weak or easy to kill enemy and use our powered melee at their feet to spark an ignition. We then have up to 5 seconds to start throwing grenades. Once we start throwing grenades, we can throw up to 5 grenades that could deal massive damage to solo targets or can be spread across a large area for ad clearing. Our grenade kills will heal us, create orbs, and give melee energy back. When we pick up orbs, we're getting health back and ability energy back. When we expend our melee energy, we're getting up to 30% from kickstart, as well as we have the ability to gain even more energy from our grenades, orbs, killing scorched targets, and casting our rift. This build makes you feel like Apollo, the sun god, with the ability to call upon the sun at any waking moment. And rain down destruction on the battlefield. Let me know your thoughts of the build. What would you change or how would you improve it? That's it for me. Peace out.